HR departments aren't typically seen in restaurants. One of the big reasons for that is because restaurants weren't originally viewed as a traditional organization. Because they didn't have that view, they just never took on that form. The really weird thing though is that when you think of how long restaurant industry has been, it just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, if it makes sense to you, write in the comments, maybe you can help me understand it. But human resources, the thing that's so unique about it is the fact there's not a true definition to it.
What?
The thing about human resources is that it's all about what the actions it does, not the definition of it.
What you talking about?
And what I mean by that is there's 7 core functions to HR. So 7 key things that are actually being done. And that's what it is. But it's things that everyone, even you right now in your restaurant, are currently doing, are recruiting people, right? You are training them, you're leading them, you're holding them accountable. Like, you're doing these things, but for some reason that like switch isn't on that helps you understand that this is human resources. And in my opinion, and what I've seen throughout my experience, not having that switch, not understanding, yes, this is human resources, you're not able to take it to the next level. And that really hurts you within an organization because it really limits your capacity. You know, a restaurant is realistically just like any other organization in which you sell a service or a product and then you receive something for that sale. That's it. Like, that is business operation. The restaurant industry has always been seen as it's been outside of the traditional viewpoint, and it's hurt. Like, it hurts in the back end, and not just the back end, but like in the kitchen, even the front of house. All these locations and all these areas aren't functioning as high as they possibly could. And one of the reasons is that HR isn't a set structure. There's no solid foundation to then build on.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And that is really just something that I think can be fixed. It's part of it is a mentality issue, and part of it is training. But because that's the case, it can be improved. I've worked in a catering agency, I've worked within a franchise, and I've also worked in a restaurant that was just a, private ownership. The only one that succeeded was the franchise. And in my opinion, one of the big reasons that it succeeded is that it had a set HR system. Now, HR wasn't doing everything, and there were tons of room for improvement, but it was there. And because it was there, team members were held accountable. Recruiting wasn't just the focus of one person at the top who has a billion other things. Owners, CEO, general managers, whenever you're the only person doing the hiring, it makes it so hard to do everything else. You're doing payroll, you're ordering the food, you're taking care of customers, you're taking care of complaints. Like, there's so much that goes into it, and not utilizing some of these common practices in other fields is really, really limiting the restaurant industry. So that's actually what I want this specific platform to be about, is connecting human resources and the restaurant industry. And it's something that's kind of crazy because even some of these industries that have already been using HR for such a long time, you ask them about it and they don't even know. I'll be like, oh, what can you tell me about HR? And I've had people who have MBAs, who went to school, who took classes on HR, and they honestly can't tell me.
Yeah.
You're joking about that, right?
So it's not something that is, it is negative. It's definitely a bad thing, but it's something that it's not necessarily anyone's fault. The reason why HR is so confusing is just the fact that it doesn't have a definition. Like, that's it. HR is just based off of the functions that it does. So an example, I love HR. And for me, it actually started off back when I was in the Navy. So I was in the Navy, I was a hospital corpsman, and my favorite part of it was the training and development, the mentorship side. Like, that was my bread and butter. I loved it. I loved teaching, I loved helping people out. Any career development, helping people get to the next stage, that was it. That was my thing. But I didn't realize that was HR until I got out of the Navy, and then I actually pursued the next kind of stage of my life to human resources. And making that connection really, really helped me out personally, because it helped me expand kind of that knowledge, and it helped me put concrete the things that I wanted to do. Like, I love building teams. Recruiting, I love it. And in my opinion, the culture, like everything that comes into a restaurant, it starts with who you hire. You know, you can hire someone that doesn't know anything, absolutely blank slate, don't know anything. But if they're motivated, if they want to be there, if they want to learn, if they want to improve, you got a stud, right? Because they can just teach, like you can teach them everything. But on the other hand, you have some people that are absolute experts. They already know everything, but they bring the entire company down just because of their minds, because of their mindset, because of the way that they act. They don't hold other people accountable, or maybe they're just too stringent and they don't understand fully how to train someone or how to, conduct some performance management. That's a skill. All of those are skills that can be taught. And understanding HR is necessary for the restaurant is the first step. So just to be frank, when you think of HR not being for your restaurant, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So that essentially means you don't deal with any employees, right? Because if you don't have team members, maybe you don't need HR. No payroll, right? So within your organization, no one's getting paid, you don't need HR. And in general, is there any compliance or any safety that you are required to follow? If not, then you don't need HR.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
But if any of those are the case, then yes, HR is needed. And honestly, you guys are already doing it. That's the thing that gets me the most, is that you're already using HR. You just don't know it. And obviously, this is a very blanketed statement. It's not for everyone. There are some people that already know that they're doing it. But for those of you out there that don't make that connection, that's strong, that's powerful. Because once you realize that, you can get to the next stage, which is then mastery. But if you don't have the knowledge of what you're doing, you can never get to the next step. And understanding HR within a restaurant, it really, really does matter. And it really helps get you to that next step. So whether or not you're just trying to run cleanly, whether you're the owner, the operator, the general manager, whoever, and you want to put payroll, not necessarily worry so much about it. You don't want to worry so much about the hiring parts. You don't want to focus on the compliance, things like that. Because every time that you have to take your mind off the front end of the business, you kind of lose, right? Like headaches, feeling like crap, all of that comes down to there are other things that you could be doing and other things that you want to do. And forcing yourself to do stuff that you don't enjoy, like that's not how you succeed. At least that's not how I succeed. I love the recruiting. I love building a team. I really enjoy the payroll. I like looking at the compliance and looking at statutes and being updated on different federal, state, local laws. That is what interests me. But I know that it does not interest everyone. So within this platform, I really want to get that message out there, and I want to genuinely change the way that restaurants see HR for what it really is. It is something that helps you get to the next level, and that level can look different, but at the end of the day, if you want your restaurant to succeed, that's really just scaling.
Well, you used to fit right here.
Restaurants are very interesting because you are specific, right? You serve your customers, and then from those customers, you make your profit. But then that means that you only make your profit from like the direct sale. Because of that, the only way that you then make more money is through scaling yourself. So opening more storefronts or franchising. The thing is, though, is that HR is required for those things. Like there's not a franchise out there that doesn't have HR. I mean, if you look at any enterprise, if you look at any franchise, any large organization, they have HR. And it's the same case and the same benefits within the restaurant community. So if you're just like a one brick and mortar location, you need HR because you need someone who's doing your payroll. You need someone who is taking care of your staff, who's actually listening to your team, and who's able to hold them accountable. Now, some of those functions you want to do in the front end, and I get it. You know, the nice thing about HR is that it's super flexible based off of the specific location. But don't limit yourself because you don't understand it. Like, that's the connection. And that's what I'm going to sound like a broken record, but that's what I really want, is to change that idea. You know, HR is something beneficial. It is something that will help people get to the next stage. So, thank you guys so much for listening to me. And if you have any questions, please put it down in the comments. If you like the content, please share it with someone.